Hey, I'm Lucas, and today we're going to take a look at how you can inspect your Postgres database on Sliplane, even if your database has been deployed as a private service and is not reachable from the outside network, but only from other services that are deployed on your same server where your database is running. So without further ado, let's get straight into it and start with deploying our own Postgres database. I will log into Sliplane with my GitHub account. Then I will create a new project, name this one Postgres. I will click on the project and I click on deploy service. So first thing that we have to do right here is create a new server, name the server Postgres or whatever name that you want. And then I will roll with the default settings right here. We will use Falkenstein as the location and the default server type. I will click on create paid server, and then a new server will be created in the background. So I can already choose a server from the list and deploy the first service on here. So I will click on add service, and then you can find a bunch of pre-configured images right here on the right. And the first one is already a PostgreSQL database. So I will select the PostgreSQL database. And as you can see, there are a bunch of presets already filled out for us. We have a Postgres user, we have a password that was generated for us, and a database name. And if you do want to change any of these settings, you can simply click on this little pen icon right here and then choose a different name. For example, we will rename our database to DB instead of MyDB here. Then I click on apply, and then I can add the service. And one thing that you will find is a lot of times you will have a setup where your database is running privately. So I will disable this public toggle right here, which means it is going to be a private service that can only be accessed from other services on the same host. And in this tutorial, we will look at how you can connect to your Postgres database in that case. So let's quickly deploy our Postgres application. This will only take a minute or two. As you can see, a new service was created and it's currently deploying. So we will already deploy a second service right here. I will click on deploy service again. Then I will choose the server that we just created and where our Postgres database is running on. And then I will click on add service. And this time we will choose registry. If you have been using Postgres, you're probably familiar with PGAdmin. And PGAdmin is a tool that you can use to inspect your database. And what we can do is deploy a version of PGAdmin on our server. So in the image URL field, I will look for PGAdmin 4, and then I will choose the first one, dpage/PGAdmin 4. And I will use the latest tag that is displayed on top of this list. Now right here on the right side, you have a link to the documentation. And if I click on that, I'm redirected to Docker Hub and to the underlying image that we are going to deploy right here. So this one is dpage/PGAdmin. And as you can see, it has over 100 million pulls. So it's a pretty popular image. It is used by a lot of different people. And right here, you can also find a link to the PGAdmin documentation. So I will click on that link right here, and I'm redirected to PGAdmin. And on the top right, there is a search. And if we search for Docker in this search field, I can see the first search result is container deployment. And if I click on it, we can find a bunch of different settings that we can add to our configuration for this deployment. You can find different environment variables, for example, and these two that are displayed on top, they are required. So let's quickly grab the default email from this documentation right here. I will scroll down a little bit in Sliplane until I find this environment variable section. Then I paste the PG default email, and I will just plug in a placeholder for this tutorial. And right here, we also grab the PGAdmin default password. I will copy that as well, paste it into the environment variables, and then we can make use of this little generate random password function. And the last environment variable that we need to add is port, and we will set a value of 80. Then right here down in the volume section, we will attach a new volume, name this one PGAdmin, click on add volume PGAdmin. And then if we go back to the documentation, and I will look for -v right here, and then you can find a little example of a PGAdmin service with a volume that is mounted to var lib PGAdmin. So we will grab this mount path. I will go back to Sliplane. I will paste it into the container mount path input field. And that's basically all of the settings that I need to apply in order to deploy this service. So let's click on deploy and wait for the deploy to finish. As you can see, our Postgres database has been deploying in the background and the deployment already finished. And now let's quickly wait for our PGAdmin service to deploy. So after a few seconds, our PGAdmin service also deployed. The last deploy was successful, and we are hooked up with this domain that we can use in order to access this service. So I will click on the domain right here, and then we need to specify an email address and password. And if you remember from the setup, we chose test@123 as an email, and then let's quickly go into the service and copy the randomly generated password right here. I will paste it into the password input field, click login, and I am logged into an instance of PGAdmin that we can now use to inspect our database that is running on our Sliplane server. So I will click on add server right here, give it a name, call this one Postgres, for example. You can choose a different name that makes more sense in your case. And then right here we have this connection tab, and then we need to go back to Sliplane, check out our Postgres, whoops, not this one, check out our Postgres instance, and I will copy this internal hostname right here that is displayed in the service info panel on the right side. I will paste it in right here, get rid of the port because we already set the port right here. Our database is called DB and the username is called Postgres, and you can find all of these settings, port, database name, username in the environment variables or right here in the internal host name where the port is appended at the end of the string. And if we scroll down a little bit further, you can see the Postgres database is called DB, Postgres user is called Postgres, and the password is right here. So I will copy the password. I will go back to PGAdmin, paste in the password. Let's save it, and then we will save the connection. And as you can see, our server now appears right here on the left side. And if we click on it, we are now connected to our database, and we can see there are two databases. We have this Postgres and this DB database that we created when we were deploying our Postgres service. So let's click on it, go to schemas, and then tables. As you can see, there's no table inside, but we can already create a table. Name this one test, for example, click on save. As you can see, we now created a table, and we can inspect this table. We can use the query tool and run all kinds of different queries on the tables that we have in our database. As a quick recap, what we did is we deployed a Postgres database that was private, which means it was only accessible from other services on the same host. And then we used this little PGAdmin service in order to connect to our database and to run some administration commands. And if you don't need this PGAdmin service anymore, you can simply pause the service. And if we open the link again, we can see this time it keeps spinning because our service is not reachable anymore. We have paused it. And you can also get rid of this service again if you don't need it anymore and you just wanted to use it for a quick inspection of your database. If you did like the video, give it a thumbs up, comment, like, and subscribe, and I see you next time.